guess we'll just kind of get started. I think kind of the biggest thing today is I think we all were kind of, what should we expect from this year? But really what can we expect kind of going into next year? But how does it feel on that buyers and sellers side? How can we both, help anticipate, help our buyers anticipate, but also help our sellers anticipate, what's to happen. Anybody have a listing recently? What's the experience? Anybody besides me?
Well, I mean, I had one that closed 3 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
And it was up in Brighton, so
Different market.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had multiple offers, but during that time, the problem is because of the pandemic. As a listing agent, the sellers are really weary about people coming into their home. So I just went with we got that weekend, we got 3 offers, and then I went with the strongest one. And then we found out come Tuesday that they didn't qualify. They were short $4,000. But, I knew that my sellers were so agitated. I don't know if I did the right thing or not, but I told the agent, I'm like, let's just split the cost, because at that point, that was the strongest offer I had.
Right.
And I didn't want, I knew my buyer. I was kind of worried that my seller, if it fell apart, they're going to go, you know what, I just don't want to put it back in the market.
Right.
So I took a hit of $2,000, but, and then I knew we were under contract with a home for them already for close to 7. See, this is where my memory, I have short memory relapse, so I don't remember everything, and I have to write it down. But, he ended up buying a really good house. I knew I was going to get a lot of commission on that. So, and I made sure that they knew it, like, hey, I took this hit because I know there's a pandemic and you have young children. I didn't want them to, so we're trying to make this happen. And we did. It worked out, so.
Totally. Well, I think, here's what you just brought up is what I heard is it's a transition buyer, transition seller. I think that's what I'm actually working with a lot lately is a lot of transition buyers and sellers. Today at 11:30, we're actually be chatting with Knock Financing. Rob's our sales rep through there. Kind of a unique opportunity where we can help our sellers who have equity in their home transition the equity from that home into a new property, but also doing it in a non-contingent manner, which I think is imperative and huge. Not necessary. This past weekend, I got my buyers and sellers. They're selling their place in Aurora, buying out in Brighton. We got their Brighton property, competed against 4 other offers to buy, got that one, and got theirs under contract on the sell. So, I mean, I think we can still get contingent buyers under contract, even if it's not an option to be non-contingent. So yeah, it's kind of crazy out there. Good morning, everybody. We got quite a few people on here. Shoot, Aaron, we got Bill, we got Cece, Donna and Jenny are on, Teresa, Thomas and Whitney. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
We got a few weeks left. Let's jump in. I guess I was just going to kind of share some of the stats. I'm a huge stat guy. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I don't know if anybody's familiar with RE Colorado in the stats sense, cross property. Stats up at the top. Cross property. This is a lot of the stats that'll help our sellers as well as kind of help them, I would say help me frame their expectations. Another place that I love pulling stats from is right here at InfoSparks. I've showed it to everybody before, but I'm going to touch on my favorite parts of InfoSparks. It's only 2 parts that I use every time I have a listing. Right down here it says showings depend. What does showings depending mean?
How many showings it took for you to get a contract?
I love it, Aaron. Super straightforward. So how many showings should we anticipate before we get the contract? Up here we can always enter in a custom range, so I can actually pick a very specific neighborhood and make it very targeted. So it's not a broad, It's not a broad statistic. It's actually a very specific statistic. So showings depending is huge. And I like days in MLS. What do these two together give our sellers?
Time frame, how long it might take for them to get their house sold.
Totally. That's exactly it. So if we anticipate, let's say 12, 2 weeks on market, 14 days on market with 14 showings, we can anticipate, hey, we should see at least 10 showings within the first weekend. By the next week, we should have our contract and 14 total showings. I like using these two stats to help frame expectations for my sellers. So I would definitely touch base with InfoSparks, but a lot of the stuff that I pulled actually is coming from right here, the cross property stats. So if you ever have any questions, what does it look like? How are we trending? Where are we going? Where are we headed? All that data is in this area here. You can be real specific. You could do a neighborhood. You could do the whole MLS. You could do it however you wanted. I went ahead and here's our sales total for the year. If we don't have closings for December, can we anticipate closing one for December? Yes or no? I would say the likelihood of you closing one in December is pretty slim at this point. Anybody else agree? I'd agree. Even if you got cash and you want to close in 10 days before the end of the year, do you believe the seller can get out that fast? Not usually, unless it's unoccupied. So I think here's great news. I think we were shooting and I was anticipating 120 million in gross home sales. We're actually at 120,354,481 as a group. So I think that's a huge year. I don't know if anybody remembers last year we finished with 55 million. So we more than doubled last year. So we're at 120 million as a group. We've got 28 transactions, 11.3 million for December. Kind of exciting. Anybody have any business that's in the car shopping right now for January? We have 12 deals and almost 4 million lined up for January already. Anybody got shoppers?
Yep.
Yes.
I do. I do. I think this is huge. 274 transactions for the year. So we're doing, I think it was a phenomenal year. I think all of us, some of us had our best year ever. It was one of my best years ever. Did anybody else feel that same way, or did anybody kind of experience the reverse, their worst year ever?
Definitely.
What do you got, Aaron?
I've definitely upped my business in the number of transactions since last year. In volume, not necessarily, but more balls going through the net. So
there you go. So I mean, I think what did it lead you to? So maybe not monetary income, but what'd you gain from it?
Experience, and also new relationships.
Huge. I think new relationships is one of the imperative parts. I like that you brought that up, Aaron. A lot of my deals are all referrals, and a lot of the deals I closed within this year were actually clients that I had within the previous 4 years. So I think that's imperative that we focus on those referrals for repeat business, maintaining the communication with those that we close. We kind of checked into this mid-year as far as how everybody was feeling. How's the mindset? How are sellers feeling? Keela brought it up. Property access, is that still a concern for our sellers?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think it's kind of I think it depends on the sellers. The seller that I just had no worries in the world. They're the ones that show up without masks at the showing and don't think that they need them. Not that they're anti-maskers, but they just don't care, don't think about it. So on their sales side, when we were putting it together and I asked them what their concerns were, they had none. So I think still being cautious for our sellers and still using a lot of those COVID addendums helps protect us, even if they care in the future. Seller fears number of buyers. Are we still concerned with number of buyers? What's driving our buyers market right now? Does anybody know?
Interest rates.
Totally. Who said that, Darla?
Akila.
Akiva, right? I think we all know it. Interest rates. We're in the middle of a refinance on this house. This is the second time we've done it in a year, and we dropped our interest rate to 2.25. Our APR is 3.5 maybe. I think it maybe even be a little bit less. But we've also dropped our payment $1,000 over this year just from refinancing. Right? So if you are not refinancing, I definitely recommend you refinance your house. What we're doing is a streamlined refi. Write that down. Call your lender, not any other lender, but your actual mortgage company, and ask them if they offer a streamlined refi for you. It was no closing costs. It was no credit checks, no taxes. Nothing was needed, but streamlined refi dropped us down to that 2.25. You can take advantage of it yourself. It's also a great way to check in with your clients. How you feeling about the home you have? And have you considered that streamlined refi? Number of buyers, I don't think it's a concern just because of interest rates. If we can keep interest rates low, we'll keep seeing the buyers. Are we seeing price reductions? I think that was a fear at the beginning of the year when we started the COVID. Is price reductions a fear for us?
No.
Well,
Repossessions might be.
What'd you say, Bill?
Repossessions might be.
Well, I guess, is anybody experiencing or witnessing any foreclosures, or anybody in the midst of foreclosure, or an increase in foreclosures? Because I don't think we're seeing it quite yet. I don't
really understand why. I've heard that we're going to see it, but the thing I have an issue with is if there's a shortage of homes out there, and they know that they're going to be foreclosed on, why wouldn't they try to sell it right away?
I think that's exactly why we won't see the foreclosures. The reason we saw so many foreclosures in the 7, 8, 9 was because of that equity gap. There was no equity, so there was no opportunity to sell and even receive some gain. So I believe we'll avoid a lot of foreclosures because of the equity gap that everybody's holding in their properties right now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing. We're so far from eliminating the equity in people's homes that foreclosures aren't an option.
Curious.
What do you got, Aaron?
Do you think does that mean we should see some help with inventory? Do you think that could be something we should expect in the next 6 months, maybe?
I think possibly, but I think what we're also experiencing, why are we seeing a reduction in inventory? What can we attribute it to?
Well, aside from COVID, I think the holidays also, just doesn't help.
Well, so we've got a seasonal downturn, a seasonal change, which is we should anticipate. But I think you're right. COVID has kind of kept people in their houses.
Yeah.
Well, there's also a fear of they're not, if they wanted to upgrade or go bigger, there's always this fear of, because of the pandemic, they're not sure if they're going to have their job. So they're like, we'll just stay for another year.
Please stop. Sorry, I've got kids wrestling in the background. Yeah, I think that's what it is a lot of people. I think there's trepidation from the market. What can we anticipate? What's the actual big picture effect that we're going to see here? I think there's trepidation on some people with having the traffic through their property. I think values are a big question, but I think you're right. I think the people that find themselves in the situation where they're not able to actually afford their house anymore are going to actually start transitioning out and actually, leveraging the equity that they have in their home to help stay afloat. What are other options for people who are in distressed situations that maybe need some of that equity in their home without selling?
Cash out refi.
There you go. Cash out refis. Do HELOCs.
HELOC.
Right. I like going, and I think a lot of people don't know the actual ways that they can help themselves. Us presenting ideas like HELOCs, selling their home to get the equity out and avoiding these foreclosures definitely help people. I call it save it or sell it. I can help you save it or I can help you sell it. You let me know what you want. Buyer fears in the market. We still experience employment, economy, home values as a fear for buyers these days. I'd say so. I would say, to be honest, a lot of my clients aren't actually affected by their employment. Everybody that I have had as a client and have anticipated, over this last year are still in that same boat. They're still in a strong position. Let's hopefully it kind of stays that way. Do we have any thoughts on what the economy will be like next year?
Don't have a clue.
Don't have a clue.
I don't know. I feel as though when, with vaccines coming out, I think things will open back up and I think there'll be a little bit more expansion. I think there will be more economic activity in general, just because people will probably be out their houses more.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think a lot of money was spent out and abroad, traveling, all of these other things, dining and entertainment, all of this money that was spent in all of these other industries and areas is now kind of staying home and helping build people's savings. But what are these industries experiencing? I think that that's where we're going to see a change in the economy, a lot of job loss. We were talking the other day, there's a number of people that are unemployed, but how many people that are unemployed at the restaurants, now the restaurant owners are finding themselves in a difficult situation where they're now unemployed, to where they're not able to cover their commercial rent. They're not able to cover their house payments. So I'm questioning what we'll see in the commercial real estate market from some of these. Offices are being emptied out, and working remotely is now becoming, the big thing. I don't think most companies aren't anticipating going back to the office even into next year. So I think we kind of have to see what's to come with, the commercial market, but also the residential market, just because of some of these industries, I think, closing down.
The working from home thing really makes sense in as much as the businesses don't have that overhead with respect to having a big, hub for people where they need to come to. You know what I'm saying? So they can kind of shorten things up. Their overhead is decreased, and maybe it makes sense right now. So we could
100%.
see an influx. I mean, I got somebody who came from Houston with Hewlett Packard, and the reason they came here is because they said, "Hey, we're working remotely, so you can go wherever you want. If we need you, you can fly here."
Right.
So there you go. Yeah, so it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how things continue to transpire into next year. I think one of our biggest things, even if poop hits the fan and gets like it was back during the 7, 8, 9 recession, will we still have a job? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Why?
You bet.
Why?
Because we're needed, because we're an integral part of that transitional phase that people
100%.
are going to go through.
100%. Even if values change, even if we lose all the equity in our home, even if prices drop, even if number of homes that get sold reduces, there still will be homes that are bought and sold. I was talking actually to Darla at the beginning of the call. The reason I enjoy online leads and new lead registrations online is because these are people who are looking online now and searching for homes. What's the likelihood they're interested in buying a home or transitioning is really good because they're actively looking. So I think we have to be where the people are. Online happens to be where it's at. Now let's see. Here's some statistics. What do I got? Historic.
There are tons of people coming out of New York, coming out of California, coming out of Chicago, and just getting out of there and wanting to go elsewhere for various economic reasons.
Historic count of active listings. Let's look at this. 2019. In November of last year, how many listings did we have active?
23,715.
Here we go. So we've got November. We had 27,000 listings. We only had 14,000 this last month. December of 2019, we had 24,000 listings. We've only got 11,000. We've got less than half of the number of active listings. What is this doing to our buyers? It's driving that seller's market. There's a reason it's a challenge for us to get our buyers under contract. What are some of the things that are helping our buyers win contracts right now?
Limiting or removing contingencies altogether.
Number one, removing a contingency. If you can avoid it, remove it. What else?
Appraisal gaps.
Huge. I think appraisal gap is huge, and it's not because it doesn't always appraise, it's because of why.
Well, there's a seller's, just that peace of mind.
People are overpricing their offers.
Well, I think that appraisal gaps helps provide that assurance that they'll get that value. With the way that prices are going, we actually are superseding the previous appraisals and the previous sales prices so rapidly. The highest comp in the neighborhood that I just sold last weekend was 475, which is why we put it at 475. I knew we'd have the traffic, so I pushed it to 500, but I knew that if we didn't get the 500, right, I knew if we didn't have the appraisal gap coverage, we weren't probably going to get to the 500 either way. So I think appraisal gap coverage is the biggest one. Removing contingencies is another one. What else can we do?
I mean, I think the biggest thing that really affect is just having an open communication with the listing agent.
Huge.
Huge.
Huge. I'm gonna say I got my clients under contract last weekend against 3 other offers. Ours was contingent, the other 3 were not. And the reason that we got it, and she said it, was because I communicated, and I was super sweet. I told you about the guy that I was working with on my listing last weekend as well, where he was rude and real aggressive, just kept pushing. Well, we're tired of this market. I don't care, dude. You taking it out on me doesn't make me want to work with you. Not only that,
dude.
What was that?
Not my issue, dude.
Not my issue, dude. Not only that, it made me want to shop his offer to beat it so I can have anybody else to work with but his ass.
Mm-hmm.
I think being the professional, having composure, that's really what'll set us apart. We have no inventory. We have to separate ourselves from others. I'll tell you this, on my Brighton listing, the listing agent said this to me. She's like, I'll tell you, it was great that you had the lender call me as well. And I was like, oh yeah, she does that for me every time. And she's like, I'm going to remember that one for my buyers. What? I was like, how long have you been doing this? I think if we don't pull out all the stops when we have our buyers and sellers, I think that we're going to be missing it. If we're writing offers and we don't know if we're winning, we're missing it. Any thoughts on this? Is this bringing any sort of balance to our market? No. 50% inventory is not going to help balance our market because we have great interest rates that are help driving these buyers to continue to shop. I think Bill kind of nailed it too. We have a lot of relocation people, a lot of people relocating into the States still. A lot of the people that are relocating out of state or transitioning out of state, were they homeowners before? Not in my experience. They were probably renters.
Yeah, you compare our prices with California and New York and those places, we look really cheap.
Here's one. Here's closed price to original list. How did it look last year? Over the entire year, were we hitting under or over list?
Over.
Well, last year, 2019, in December, we only hit 97.8% of list price.
Yeah, May we were at 100%, and that's as good as.
So here's July of 2020, 100% plus. August, 100% plus. September, 100% plus. October, 100% plus. November, 100% plus. December, 100% plus. We're superseding the original list prices month after month. What should we anticipate January, February, March of next year? Above list price or below list price?
The same.
We're going to be above list price. Who does this help? Our buyers or our sellers?
Sellers.
I'm going to say both.
Yeah.
It'll help frame my buyer's perspective. Hey guys, historically from July, August, September, October, November, December, January, we've superseded list price by more than 100%. Should we anticipate it when we start writing offers? Are we going to be able to write an offer? Sarah, I'm going to pick on you with your guy who wants you writing low ball offers for him. Is there a chance that we're going to get your low ball offer accepted?
No.
Probably not.
Probably 100,000.
Right. Right. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. I think this helps our buyers with anticipation. Hey guys, look, historically we're going to be offering at or above list price. If your max is 400, we should be shopping at 375. Is that realistic expectation?
Sure.
Totally. I think using this to help our buyers anticipate the actual activity, and not only that, educate some of the people who want to maybe do things that are against the grain. Oh yeah, let's go in 100,000 under ask isn't going to work with the market here, unless we find something that's been on the market for a month. I just don't know if it's actually possible. Go to the next one. What do we got here? Days on market for 2020. Days on market, pretty consistent.
Wow.
Right? April was one of our lowest volume months, and we still had one of our best months of days on market. Does this help us in any way?
Should really motivate a seller if they're wanting to sell. I mean, hello, it's like put it on the market and goodbye.
Right. Well, and I think that goes back to some of the other stats that we can gain from that InfoSparks. You know, providing specific data to their neighborhood, as well as what those average comp prices are. When I do comps, I only give them pendings and the last 30 to 60 days of sold property pricing. I don't go back any farther than 60 to 30 days because I want it to be accurate. I want it to be the closest thing. And not only that, I like sharing the pictures of the ones that are active and go under contract. You have to look better than these properties, and if you don't, we're not at that price. I think days on market is, I guess, why are we at 40 days on market still? What does that tell us for some of our buyers still?
Seller's market.
Well,
there's some hope.
What was that, Aaron?
There's some hope.
I think that it's exactly what it shares with us. There is some hope. You know, this isn't a number that says 7 days here, right? So there is some hope. But what does this mean if we still have a 40-day average days on market? On the seller side, why are we still having this?
People are overpriced.
Still overpriced. So we still have overpriced properties. So we're still seeing price reductions. I sent out that stat the other day about what would we have 800 new listings, but like 2,200 sold properties in the last 7 days. There's still properties out there that aren't selling. Sarah's shopping them with her investor buddy. Just kidding, Sarah. Number of expired listings from 2019 to 2020. So here's 2019. In December of 2019, how many expired listings did we have?
Wow.
4,500.
How many did we have this year? The devil.
I dare not say.
The devil. The mark of the beast. We've only had 600. In November, we had 2,500 expired listings. We only have 1,700. Can we still shop these properties, these expired listings?
Yes.
Yeah. I think so. Who should we contact, or how do we touch base with these expired listings?
The listing, well, I get the listing agent, unless you want to go knock on the door.
Yeah.
You got a couple options. Knock on the door, send a letter and knock on the door, or just contact that listing agent. Hey, I've got an investor that'll buy it for $100,000 less. You want to submit the offer? Right? If you've got somebody, I'd be shopping the expired listings. The difference is we just don't have the volume. Almost 4,000 less expired listings. I think it's also because they're not expiring because they're what? Why are they not expiring?
They're selling.
They're selling. There's not many on the market, and the ones that are on the market are just selling.
Yeah, it's a good time if you have a real pooch for a property to put it on the market.
A pooch being an ugly dog there? Bill, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you have a real bow wow out there, now is the time to put it on the market. People are less apt to have a problem with something because the inventory is way low.
Well, and I think what we also don't have those is we don't have those first-time home buyer purchase price points. Yeah. What are some of our lower purchase price individuals feeling, and how are what's going on with them right now?
Sticker shock.
Sticker shock. And not only that, but they're outpriced within the market. We can't live where we want for the price that we can afford, and we're accepting something that's far less than what we were anticipating. What's the benefit for them to still purchase no matter what?
The fear of the property is going to go up.
Ride the appreciation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, Britt and I are in a fortunate situation. We bought this property April of 18, which means we've been here for about 2.5 years, 3 years this April, but we're probably sitting on 150 in equity already. We bought, we only owe about 450. It'll probably sell for 600. We have tiny houses in our neighborhood and around us that are selling at 550, 560, and 570. 2.5 years and we're sitting on 150,000 of equity. Who's in a good position? Everybody who owns a home.
Can I list your home for you?
Now, for free. I trust you to do it, Bill.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
My vote of confidence.
Hallelujah.
Average close price 2019 to 2020. I think we were all questioning back in April. So remember March, we were still all riding high, feeling good. We were seeing the appreciation we expected. April was when poop hit the fan, everything shut down. When did we get shut down? Does anybody remember the last day restaurants were open at the beginning of the year?
In March?
Yep.
April, right?
It was March. It was what specific day? It was literally a very specific day, only because I was wanting to celebrate.
St. Patrick's.
4th.
Who said it? I think Sarah.
What was it?
That was the last day I did it. It was my friend's birthday party. We had a party bus that day, and then everything shut down.
The next day. It was
Next day.
the day before St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day was
Yeah.
the day that they closed it all down.
Yeah.
Right? So once we all got shut down in May, we all started to anticipate it. What happened to pricing in April? What happened to pricing in May? Everybody got scared. We actually saw a price dip. We saw a depreciation in our market. What happened then after? June, July, August, September, October, November, December. December, how we sitting for appreciation to last year?
Huge.
Huge. We're more than
6%. Is that what it was?
we're more than 6%, I believe. You know, we're at $50,000, $60,000 increase in appreciation from year over year. What are the driving factors on these? What's driving this?
Interest rate.
Interest
Low
rates.
rates, low inventory.
Low rates and low inventory. Just they're fueling each other. Do we
And high
anticipate
demand.
high demand? That's exactly it. Do we anticipate interest rates increasing? Yes or no?
They should.
Bill, shut your mouth. No, we do not want to anticipate these increasing. What happens if they increase? What happens even if they go back to 3.5% to 4% interest? What will we see?
This costs a little more to borrow.
A little more? It'll cost you a lot more to borrow. Your
That's still a
purchase-
great interest.
4%.
What was that,
That's
Bill?
still a great interest rate. But
It's
it's
still
not a great interest rate if you're used to 2.5.
Well, and here's the kicker, though. The number doesn't matter. 2.5 to 4 doesn't matter. What matters is the impact to your monthly payment. When somebody's tight at a 2.5, they're going to be even tighter at a 4 point. Right?
Yeah.
So you went from being able to afford a $400,000 house, interest rate increases, you're now affording a 325 with no
Basically,
HOA.
all those first-time home buyers won't be able to get into a house.
Well, you will. It's just going to be in Pueblo.
That's way low.
Oh, Pueblo. I think that this is, our average close price 2019, 2020. This is great for our buyers. Get into a house, secure a low interest rate, and start riding the appreciation. Oh, I want single family. I don't want a townhouse. You're in an apartment right now. Why would you not want a townhouse even if it was there for 2 years? You're going to rent for the next 2 years. I think appreciation is still the opportunity. I think we just can't miss it. Number of homes sold 2020. How many homes did we sell compared to last year? Here's 2019. Here's 2020. In October, we sold 8,700. How many did we sell October this year? We crushed last year's numbers. Our biggest downturn was during the same thing that we saw with appreciation rates. April and May, the only decline that we had. Once we hit June, July, August, it was a skyrocket. Obviously, we're only halfway done. We can anticipate twice the volume on this, so we'll still supersede last year. This is all being driven by what again? Same factors. Low interest rate, low inventory. Well, just low interest rates is driving our buyers. Do these stats, if we shared them with our buyers and sellers, do they help frame expectation? Has anybody had any obstacles with their clients when they try and share information like, oh, I don't think that that's going to work. We have to go in higher, or, oh no, we have to anticipate this. Do our buyers believe us if we don't support it with data usually?
No.
What do, Akila, when we don't share the data with it and we just share an opinion, what do they usually believe we're doing?
Thinking of our best interest, not theirs.
Totally. You just want me to increase my price. You want me to go above what I'm comfortable with. And I think I like framing expectations up front. Hey, we're getting ready to go out there. I'd like to share some of these stats with you. Review them. Let me know what questions you have from the get-go. This isn't something that we bring up after we start experiencing it. I think it's something we should bring up before we even get going. Hey, here's what we're experiencing. Above 100% to an original list price. So everything that's—
then they still have to beat out on something.
Say that again, Darla.
And then they still have to get beat out on a house they really like before they get it.
I love it though.
Yeah.
I actually like that. I was talking to somebody the other day. They're like, well, should I tell them to go more? I was like, you might piss them off if you do. You know, do what your client says. And then once you've done what they say, they're like, okay, well, my approach didn't work. What do you think? Well, here's what I think. I think that we have to go in like this. Do you want it at this point?
Hey, Jared, where do you get these stats from?
I'll go back. It is right here again.
I mean, is it RE Colorado? Is that right? The stats? Okay.
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
where you got all of these from?
Yep. I'll show you right here. Just gotta get my little. Right here, when we're in Matrix, here's our cute little home. It's right here at the top, stats and cross property. So all of these stats are available, and all I do is I go to customize. I can do a time frame, custom date. I can do a range, the past 12 months, the past couple months. What is the statistic that I'm looking for? Average close price, days on market, expired. This is where I'm pulling all this data is right from here. Can we do this with our clients in the moment and in front of them? Absolutely. Can we do it at home and then share it with them?
Sure.
I think absolutely. I think me speaking to this also helps them feel what for me is their professional. Me knowing the statistics helps them feel what for me?
More credibility.
I think so. I think more confidence in me as their professional. More credibility just to my experience actually within the field.
I mean, I actually have, you know, because listing is so competitive, like everything else. But if I had this to present, I think I would have won instead of the team winning.
I got a little buddy hanging out with me.
Aw,
He's not a puppy anymore.
it's cute.
He just eats everything now. I think it's imperative that we know what's going on in the market, and it's not because we keep losing out on properties and not because we can't get our sellers under contract. It's because we actually identify where things are and where they're headed. That's a good question again, Akila. I don't think that we can answer that question enough, but not only that, the next best place to get stats is from InfoSparks, which is, when you enter here, here's Matrix, here's InfoSparks right here. Best places for data, InfoSparks and your stat screen in RE Colorado. So number of homes sold, we're obviously exceeding all of the number of homes sold. We have a 50% reduction in inventory and an obvious 100 to 125% increase in the number of sales that we're seeing. Can we share that with our buyers and sellers? 50% reduction in inventory. Hi, bud. No, you can't get in the chair. 50% reduction in inventory. Hey, I'm right here. 50% reduction in inventory, and almost 125% increase in sales. I share the stat all the time. Hey, as a buyer, anticipate it. We're going to have to compete. As a seller, anticipate it. We're going to see a lot of showings. How does it feel? Where are we headed? We headed to a good place or a bad place? Backwards or forwards?
Forwards.
Forwards. So I think a lot of our fears from the early in the year, are they valid? Are they accurate?
Mm.
You know, I think what I was anticipating was a reduction in sales. I was anticipating actually seeing these numbers more balanced, if not less. 7,400 last year in November, we should have seen. I was anticipating seeing less than the 74, and we're not. October, I mean, we saw a huge increase in October. September, huge. I think we're going to see this through January, through February, through March. I think it was maybe even Cece I was talking to the other day. What are the best, well, how do I want to say this? For our buyers, what's the easiest month for us to transition? What months are seasonally the slowest for our buyers?
November, December, January.
November, December, January, and February. What happens in March?
Oh, it's revving up.
No.
Well, you know what I believe happens in March is everybody in March kind of wakes up to that you know, who makes a New Year's resolution? Anybody? I make them.
I try to.
Well, you can't try. You just have to. Morning, Mary. I think everybody makes that New Year's resolution. Hey, we got through the holidays. It's the first of the year. What are we doing this year? What is everybody doing this year?
Deals.
They're going to buy a house. They're going to get out of the house that they were trapped in through 2020. They're going to get out of the rental they were trapped in 2020. And now is the time to actually buy. They make that decision when? January 1st. When do they actually start making strides to getting the house? Spring break. I think it's the first time where things start thawing out. They start waking up and realizing it's been 3 months since I made my New Year's resolution, never made it to the gym. I bought my membership, went once, but I haven't made it back. I made the decision to buy a home in January, still haven't bought a home, and now it's March. I believe that seasonal turn up is because of springtime, the thaw in the air, you know, flowers starting to pop and bloom, everybody's feeling a little bit more excited, seasonal depression starts to reduce. I think everybody during the March period starts to actually jump in and really do the things that they've set themselves to accomplish.
You know, another thing too is that mom and dad want to make sure little Bobby and little Susie get acclimated to the new neighborhood, to get some friends in the summer, to carry them through into their new school and stuff like that, you know?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge point. You know, transitioning is just something that's kind of a timing thing for most every buyer and seller.
Yeah, April, May, and June are huge.
I think if we were to do anything to benefit our clients, it would be to help them shop during right now, December, January, and February. If you have somebody who's in a position where it's already tight, your purchase capabilities are already reduced, what's going to happen when we get to March and you had some opportunities? Are those opportunities going to be there in March? The homes that you were seeing at 400 come March, what's the price come March?
425.
425, right? What happens if we see an increase in interest rates? Your purchase power was 400. The houses in March went from 400 to 425. Interest rates changed, so you now qualify for 375. So your qualifications are reduced and appreciation increased. So now the gap between your affordability is almost eliminated.
People who are selling now are more motivated, I think, because this is not the ideal time to do it.
I think that if you're not motivated now, it's just not going to happen. If you have somebody that's in a rental, a lease agreement, what's typically the lease break fee for any lease agreement?
2 months rent, right? 1 or 2 months.
I'm going to say usually 1 month's rent, maybe 2 months rent. It's 2 months rent. The average rent, let's say, is 25. Let's say you got to pay 5. Is there creative ways for us still to close a transaction, cover somebody's cancellation fee, and still make money? I think so. What happens if they get priced out because interest rates increase, their purchase capabilities drop, and prices increase? Well, they're out of the market anyway. They're still going to be renting. What's the average commission for a $400,000 house?
10 grand. $11,200.
Okay, so if I'm anticipating $11,000 and I cover somebody's $5,000 lease break fee and I give them a credit, can I still make 6? Would I
Sure.
rather make 6, or would I rather lose them to a rental market? I'd rather make 6.
It's a win-win situation.
It's win-win. What also happens if you do things like that for your buyers, and I tell you, I say this, I'm like, do not tell anybody I did this. Tell them I did a lot of great things, but do not tell them I gave you $5,000. Right? I got a referral. I just closed a deal. I got a referral from somebody that I've actually closed 3 deals with. I got the referral. It was their younger brother, and the younger brother's parents bought the kid the house. And in the contract, the only thing this kid wanted was a barbecue grill that was in the garage. So in the contract, I wrote in, barbecue smoker grill and garage to be included, and even put a smiley face because this was a hunk of shit barbecue grill, right? I put a smiley face in the contract. Guess what wasn't included in the sale? What wasn't at closing? A damn barbecue smoker grill, right? So I thought I'd be kind, and I bought him $250 worth of Visa gift cards to buy that barbecue grill he wanted. And guess what? The guy that gave me the referral hit me up and said, "Hey, what do you have a bunch of money now? You could buy my brother a barbecue grill? What about my grill?" I was like, "What? What? What about the $14,000 commission reduction I did on your listing?"
Yeah, you're getting a lot of love. Getting a lot of love there.
I said maybe Santa will hook him up with a barbecue grill, but I wouldn't expect it. I think my point is I'm on board with giving incentives. I'm also like to remind people that it's not something I traditionally do. If I do this for you, I don't typically do this, right? But I'd also rather close and make 6 than close and make nothing. I closed $1 million property, right? And it was September. It was a referral from another agent in the industry, right? Crazy enough. I get tons of referrals from other agents in the industry. It was $1 million property at a 1% list with a 50% referral fee attached to it. You know how much money I made on that $1 million property?
$5 grand.
$4,300. Who was grateful to snag their $4,300? This guy, right? Because if I hadn't gotten the referral and I hadn't given the 1% commission or given the referral fee back, I would have never made even $4,300. Do I care about the dollars, or do I care about the transactions?
Action.
I like the transactions. They're associated with relationships. The relationships fuel the more of the transactions. I think that I'm more invested in actually producing and closing the deals than I am trying to make sure I get my full commission out of it. Old grumpy butt over this weekend that was pushing me to try and get his buyer accepted. He sends me a nasty gram after he did get accepted, and he's like, "How about you do the industry a favor and you do a standard 2.8% commission instead of 2.5?" What are you talking about? What was the actual difference between 2.5 and 2.8, buddy? And look at my commission. Wait till you see the end report. I'm doing it for 1%. I think that
Plus,
I'm more.
how badly do you want your buyers to own a home?
Well, I think
That's what I
exactly.
would be asking that buyer's agent.
Well, here's the thing. If we're focused on the consumer, what's unavoidable, I think, then becomes monetary gain. Has anybody closed I'll tell you this, my smallest deal, my actual smallest commission, my smallest sale was $13,500 for a house on a half acre, but I still made $1,200. but I sold a $23,000 house and made $500. I sold Jenny, hey Jenny, I sold her lot at the beginning of 19.